Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this introduction to essential oil basics. AirAce is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was set up to fund research as a way to create a standard for essential oils. The objective of this webinar is to understand the answers to these 5 questions. What are essential oils? Where do they come from? What is the difference between a genuine and a synthetic essential oil? What creates disease in the body? And most importantly, how do essential oils work to repair the body? Let's start with, what is an essential oil? Many individuals have asked this question, and the answer is simple. Essential oils are the volatile liquids and aromatic compounds that are distilled or pressed from plants. There are some great similarities between the essential oils in plants and the blood in the human body. They have similar functions in that when you tear a leaf or you break a branch, you see a clear liquid seeping out. It is basically the same function as when you cut yourself and watch the blood come from the cut. If you look closely, you will see that both the essential oil and the blood will seal the cut and at the same time will protect the wound and provide nutrients and oxygen for cell regeneration. Both the blood and essential oils have the ability to guard against harmful microorganisms. Here is a comparison of the human finger that has a small cut and is bleeding. And above is a frankincense tree that has small cuts made in the bark to allow the white-colored sap to flow out. Like human blood, essential oils are the lifeblood of plants. They contain highly oxygenating molecules, which means that there is a very high concentration of oxygen in each drop of essential oil. Like human blood, essential oils deliver nutrients to the cells of the plant, and they are much more potent than dried herbs. Where do essential oils come from? As you can see, they come from trees, wood, seeds, leaves, flowers, the rind of fruits, roots, and other parts of plants. Each plant has a special combination of minerals and elements, which makes each very unique in nature. These various elements are called constituents. This is some of the most amazing knowledge we have about essential oils. Each constituent has a unique and individual effect upon the human body. Here you can see the percentages of the constituents in orange essential oil. Notice how high limonene is, up to 97%. Research indicates that limonene is one of nature's most powerful cancer-fighting constituents. Knowing the facts about these constituents, you can determine the healing effects that the essential oils will have in your body. A study from the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center found that D-limonene showed persuasive evidence in the treatment of colon cancer. There were also 18 companion research projects showing similar results in the treatment and prevention of several other types of cancer. Here is a partial list of constituents that are found in essential oils. Some oils are much higher in one constituent than another. The percentage of a constituent in the oil will determine the oil's function and how effective it will be against specific invasions into the body. They are called essential because without them, the plant will die. With the advances in science, we have been able to well define the difference between drugs and essential oils. Sometimes we need to define something by what it is not. Any material or substance that cannot be metabolized or transformed into a living structure is of no possible use to the human body and is poison that must be resisted or expelled. Advances in science have given us the facts of what happens when you use drugs. Drugs block receptor sites so nutrition and oxygen cannot get into the cell. To give a specific example of the difference between a drug and an essential oil, look at the cell on the slide. The brown arrow is pointing to a specific area known as a receptor site. This is a door or a pathway into the cell. There are many receptor sites on the cell. Essential oils have the remarkable ability to clean the receptor sites so nutrition and oxygen can get into the cell. Essential oils also have the ability to evaluate the cell for repair or replacement. A synthetic oil is just like a drug. It is a chemical that will block, corrode, and damage the cell. There are companies that say they sell certified pure essential oils, but in reality they are selling a synthetic oil. Many people who use these synthetic oils have side effects that have made them sick and sent them to the hospital. Like the snake oil salesman, these companies give the essential oil industry a bad name, and in the future could be the cause of government intervention to protect society because they believe essential oils to be a dangerous product. Genuine essential oils from nature have life-giving energy. They are carefully distilled or pressed, and their life-giving energy cannot be duplicated in a laboratory. Synthetic oils are attempts to duplicate nature's essential oils in a laboratory, but they have none of the living plant energy that holds the healing qualities of genuine essential oils. Living organisms know the difference. It is important to understand what is happening in the essential oil industry. Synthetic oils that are made in a laboratory are poison to the body. With 77%, these oils represent a large percentage of the essential oil industry. There are also natural oils that are altered or adulterated with fillers and chemicals. This represents 22% of the industry. Authentic or genuine oils make up less than 1% of the industry. As you can see, there is a real challenge to protect the genuine essential oils and educate the masses to the dangers of altered and synthetic essential oils. As you can see, essential oil science is very complex. It is not necessary to know the complexities of an essential oil. Look at all the chemical structures. Scientists working in laboratories use chemicals to copy these structures that end up as synthetic oils. Research has shown that these types of oils damage your body. What is important to understand is the constituent essential oil research that validates the usage and healing qualities of essential oils. Let's make this easier to understand. Many ask the question, how do genuine essential oils work to repair the body? We will answer this question in just a few minutes. But first, it is important to understand how the body works on a cellular level. Let's talk about what happens in the blood. Look at the back of your hand and find a blood vessel. Now, imagine taking a small section of that vessel where the red lines are and putting it on the next slide so you can view it. And here it is. Now this is very simple, but makes it very easy to explain the functions that go on inside your blood vessels. Let's talk about the red blood cells. You have about 30 trillion red blood cells, and you make about 2.4 million new red blood cells every second. This is an electron micrograph of healthy blood cells. They have strong membrane integrity, they easily transport nutrients throughout the body, and have strong cellular communication. They talk to each other. It is a beautiful system, and it works very well when blood cells are healthy. Look closely at this cell. What I would like to talk about is that small squiggly line that you can see inside the cell. This is called the mitochondria. The mitochondria is a small structure inside the cell. It is the place where the energy of your body is made. It is like a miniature factory that never stops working. But like any factory, it has to have the right material to operate efficiently. One of the most important elements that the mitochondria must have is oxygen. The oxygen molecule is able to move through the cell membrane into the cell and to the mitochondria. Oxygen is very important in the creation of energy, but something else is needed. You have to have fuel. The fuel of the cell is called glucose. Like your car, the mitochondria has to have both oxygen and fuel. Look at the glucose and notice where the arrow is pointing. You can see that the arrow stops before it goes through the membrane. Glucose cannot get into the cell by itself. It needs help to get through that membrane. There is a hormone that we are all familiar with. It is called insulin. Insulin is a hormone that communicates with the cell membrane to unlock the door or pathway so that glucose can get in. You all know or have heard of someone who has diabetes. When an individual does not have enough insulin, they lack the fuel to produce energy. That condition is life-threatening. Once you have glucose and oxygen working inside the mitochondria, it is like a factory turning out energy. Like your car, when you turn it on, the fuel and the oxygen work together to make the car go. But something else happens. Whenever you have a factory where fuel and oxygen are used to make energy, there is always a byproduct. When you turn on your car, the fuel and oxygen burn, and that process produces exhaust that goes out of the tailpipe. Now, we all know that breathing exhaust fumes is not good for us. Have you ever been behind a large truck and had to breathe those noxious fumes? It's not very pleasant. Like the car engine, the mitochondria is a factory that produces byproducts, which are called oxides. These oxides cause us to age and they create disease. The body has to neutralize them to remain healthy. Here is what happens to metal when it oxidizes. I am sure that every one of you have seen metal items that have been corroded. The oxides that are released from your mitochondria do the same thing to the cells in your body. Here is an electron micrograph of oxidized blood cells. Like the piece of iron, the oxides are corroding the cells. Notice that the cellular membrane is compromised. They become sticky and they clump together. There is very poor nutrient and oxygen transfer and very poor communication. So what is it that really creates disease or imbalance in the body? We all know that there are multiple ways that we get sick. Let's take a look at them. This slide has pictures of bacteria, viruses, pathogens, and parasites. These germs give us disease in many different ways. The slide directly under the word toxin is the bacterium that caused the Black Plague that killed half of Europe in the Dark Ages. The slide on the far left is the MRSA virus, which doctors say is incurable. We now have research that shows that essential oils can neutralize these germs. We have testimonials of people who have used essential oils to totally remove these diseases from the body. We know that there are genetic disorders that cause disease and conditions. Down syndrome, hemophilia, and conditions such as sickle cell anemia, which is shown at the bottom of this slide, are examples of genetic disorders. Research has also shown that essential oils have a positive influence in lessening the symptoms or correcting some of these conditions. Exposure to environmental hazards is a subject of great concern. These hazards are inorganic and man-made. As you can see, there are many ways that we can be exposed to these inorganic pollutants. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, there are more than 7 million recognized inorganic chemicals in existence. But what is really scary is that 90% of the chemicals approved by the EPA between 1976 and 1994 were approved with no restrictions on their proposed use and production. Even Time magazine printed concerns about how America is being poisoned. An article from the General Accounting Office of the U.S. government in 1997 stated that the FDA and the EPA have no idea exactly how many chemicals are used in consumer products, nor what products they are used in. This cartoon illustrates what is considered to be a very serious situation. Laws are rushed through Congress with no thought as to how the law will affect the consumer. Some regulations are created that tell manufacturers that they do not have to tell the consumer what they are eating. Manufacturers do not have to list foods that have been genetically modified or foods that are made from chemicals and are not really foods. They just taste like food. Your health is at risk. In March of this year, the Los Angeles Times newspaper printed an article about scientists from the United States, Europe, and China who recommended that plastics should be classified as hazardous waste. At this moment, you're probably sitting on several free-floating radicals. These scientists referenced a study where microscopic plastic fibers were present in human lung cancers. The risks and dangers just keep piling up. We all need to understand how environmental pollutants make us sick. The facts are not difficult to understand. We have talked about oxides and how they cause us to age and create disease. They are also called free-floating radicals. But there are other kinds of free-floating radicals. These are inorganic environmental pollutants that we have just seen: lead, aluminum, mercury, other heavy metals, plastics, drugs, and pesticides. These free-floating radicals are everywhere. It is important for us to understand how they affect our health. As the concentration of these radicals build up in our bloodstream, our blood becomes more acidic. The more acidic your blood becomes, the more susceptible you become to disease. The body has many mechanisms to protect itself. When your blood becomes acidic, the cell responds by producing a thicker membrane to protect itself. Notice that the cell membrane is thicker. This makes it more difficult for the oxygen and the glucose to get into the cell to feed the mitochondria. It also makes it difficult for the oxides to get out. Pretty soon little Johnny comes to Mama and says, "Mama, I can't breathe." So what does Mama do? Mama takes little Johnny to the doctor. And what does the doctor do? He gives little Johnny a drug. And here they are. Now isn't little Johnny happy? The drug forces oxygen into the cell so Johnny can feel like he is breathing better. However, the free-floating radicals and toxins that caused the problem in the first place are still in the blood. Now there is a dilemma. What is Johnny's future? Johnny can breathe better, but if the drug is taken away, Johnny can't breathe. So the drug perpetuates itself and Johnny becomes dependent. The doctor did not tell Johnny or his mother that Johnny is going to have breathing disorders. These breathing disorders include asthma, emphysema, allergies, and there are many other conditions. But isn't little Johnny happy? In fact, he was so good at the doctor's office that Mama took Johnny to the grocery store and bought him sugar flakes, ice cream, soda pop, Cocoa Balls, Fruity Loops, and all kinds of tasty treats. Isn't Johnny happy? Ladies and gentlemen, this is our world today. We are constantly bombarded with advertising for all of these fortified, vitamin and fiber-rich products. But remember, the manufacturers do not have to tell us what is really in their product. So we keep piling up those free-floating radicals in our blood. If you look closely, you will see a radical attached to the oxygen molecule. Those radicals attach themselves to the oxygen molecule, which in turn carries the radical through the membrane into the cell. Pretty soon there are so many radicals in the cell that the cell becomes inflamed, pressure builds up, and eventually the cell breaks. When the cell breaks, small pieces of the cell are thrown into the bloodstream. Heavy metals and other free-floating radicals are inorganic and are not easy for the body to deal with. They can hide in your tissues for many years and cause all kinds of problems. But the pieces of the cell are different. This is organic material that does not belong in the blood. However, the body knows how to respond to organic invaders. The immune system produces antibodies that attack the pieces of the broken cell. As the antibodies are attacking, more are produced that will be used to attack new pieces of cell when they appear. However, this condition is more serious. The pieces of cell floating in the blood are made out of the same material as the cell wall. So now you are producing antibodies against your entire body. This is what's known as an autoimmune response. You are now suffering from autoimmune disease. These autoimmune diseases include leukemia, arthritis, eczema, psoriasis, and according to PubMed, there are over 162 known autoimmune diseases, and they keep coming up with new ones on a regular basis. At this point in our discussion, I would like to recap before we talk about how essential oils work. We have defined what is an essential oil. We have learned where they come from and explored the difference between a genuine essential oil and the rest of the essential oil industry. We have discussed how we become ill or imbalanced, and finally we have looked into cellular biology in brief and easy terms. Now we come to the answer to the question, how do genuine essential oils help the body? Because of research in essential oil science, we have come to know some very important facts about essential oils. Essential oil constituents do have bold and decisive results on many conditions and diseases, according to validated research. In order to explain, let's go back to our pretend blood slide. Remember, I said essential oils are superoxygen molecules with very unique constituents. As you can see, the green arrow points to free-floating radicals. The essential oils will engulf and digest the radicals and remove them from the body. What is most exciting is how the oxygen gets into the cell. Depending on the constituents in the oil will repair or engulf by whatever signature nature has intended. This fact is borne out in essential oil research. Look closely at the green arrow that goes directly into the cell. The oil is able to enter directly through the cell membrane, and like one of the previous slides indicated, the oil is able to evaluate the cell to determine if the cell can be repaired, or if the cell is not repairable, then should be removed from the blood. As you can see, essential oils deliver results. The body also has an excellent cleansing system for getting rid of the oxides that corrode the cell. This cleansing system uses a molecule to stop oxidation. These molecules are called antioxidants. Antioxidants destroy oxides by interrupting the chemical reactions that allow the oxides to become free-floating radicals. Without antioxidants, our bodies will become toxic very quickly, and our lifespan will be shorter. If a substance can engulf an oxide or free-floating radical, then by its very nature it becomes an antioxidant. There are essential oils that have this ability. All essential oils are not classified as antioxidants, but some are. Here is a reason why more research is needed to continue classifying the medical benefits of essential oils. Now take a look at the following quote from a clinical study regarding eugenol, the major constituent of clove essential oil, the highest known antioxidant found in nature. The constituents in clove oil do more than just raise antioxidant levels. They also protect cellular DNA from damage that eventually leads to mutations and subsequent tumor growth. In a study by H. Yokota and others in 1986, it was stated that a diet that includes 5% eugenol, the main chemical constituent in clove oil, helps protect animals against mutagenic and cancer-causing effects of the chemical benzopyrene. Dr. Richard Cutler of the National Institute of Health states that the amount of antioxidants that you have in your body will determine how long you will live. He also referenced a research project where it was found that 95% of cancer is caused by diet and exposure to toxins. Antioxidant is not the only medical term ascribed to essential oils. There are other medical terms such as antispasmodic, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and antiseptic that have been ascribed to all oils. The following slides will show how some essential oils are antifungal. This is a dark-filled blood slide of a 26-year-old young woman. She was 105 pounds when she began to rapidly gain weight. Within 6 months, she had gained 80 pounds. Visits to doctors' offices revealed nothing. Blood work analysis stated that all the electrolytes were within acceptable parameters. She was determined to find out what was wrong, so she went to a doctor who took her blood, put it under the microscope, and with the use of the camera, projected it onto a computer screen. What you see is the first picture taken of this young lady's blood. Her blood was filled with black mold. The black mold is everywhere between the black round circles, which are blood cells. The white specks you see is the light coming through from the bottom of the slide. So, it becomes evident how packed her blood was with black mold. This is a life-threatening condition. It was determined that the only way to kill the black mold was to use essential oils. After 24 hours, there is a significant reduction in the black mold. It is evident that the oils were doing their job. After 48 hours, most of the mold was gone, and this young lady was well on her way to recovery. She used a blend of essential oils that included rosemary, clove, cinnamon bark, lemon, and eucalyptus radiata. Her health returned to better than normal, and she began dropping weight over the next 6 months. Here are the results she experienced after using essential oils. She lost 80 pounds, is healthier than she has ever been in her life, and she was married in 2010 and delivered her first child on March 17, 2012. Here is her son at the age of 1 year. He is very healthy, and as you can see, he is also very happy. This young lady and her son are alive today because of essential oils. As you have seen, essential oils can have great validity in our lives. We do not want to lose our ability to freely possess them. We hope this webinar has inspired you to join the growing community of contributing essential oil users. We need your support in funding more research. There is a bright future for essential oils, and with the hope of standardization, we will be able to keep essential oils in the hands of the people so that all people can share in their life-giving benefits. Help us spread the word about standardization and essential oil research by becoming a member of ARES. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with us.